Hi, Miss Amy's friends and Miss Alyssa's friends. Today I'm going to read Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Now you might have seen the movie, so I wonder if you've read the story. It's a little bit different, so I'll let you see what you think. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was Saturday morning, pancake morning. Mom was squeezing oranges for juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we could eat, and Grandpa was doing the flipping. There he is. Seconds later, something flew through the air and headed towards the kitchen ceiling and landed right on Henry. After we realized that the flying object was only a pancake, we all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully. All the other pancakes landed in the pan, and all of them were eaten, even the one that landed on Henry. Uh-oh. They were like, oh. They didn't want to waste their pancakes. That night, touched off by the pancake incident, at breakfast, Grandpa told us the best tall tale bedtime story we'd ever heard. Across an ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts and 1 smaller ocean, there lay the teeny tiny town of Chew and Swallow. In most ways, it was very much like any other tiny town. It had a main street lined with stores, houses with trees and gardens, about 300 people, and some assorted cats and dogs. But there was no food stores in Chew and Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly want. The only thing that was really different about Chew and Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. Look, he's looking. Where's my lunch? Whatever the weather served, that was what they ate. But it never rained rain, and it never snowed snow, and it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green peas, and sometimes the wind blew in a storm of hamburgers. Holy moly. The people could watch the weather report on television in the morning, and they would hear a prediction for the next day's food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates and their cups and glasses and forks and spoons and knives and napkins with them. That way, they would always be prepared for any kind of weather. If they were leftovers, and there usually were, the people took them home and put them in the refrigerator just in case they got hungry between meals. Oh my goodness. Look. They're like, we're gonna stop and have a break, eat some food. The menu varied. By the time they woke up in the morning, the breakfast was coming down. After a brief shower of orange juice, low clouds of sunny-side-up eggs moved in, followed by pieces of toast. Butter and jelly sprinkled down for the toast, and most of the time it rained milk afterwards. For lunch one day, frankfurters already in their rolls blew in from the northwest at about 5 miles an hour. There were mustard clouds nearby, and then the wind shifted to the east and brought in some baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. That sounds delicious. Here they are getting their breakfast, and here they are getting ready to enjoy some lunch. Check out the top of the restaurant. It's got a big hole in the roof so they can get their food. Dinner one night consisted of lamb chops, becoming heavy at times with occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by a gradual clearing with a wonderful jello setting in the west. The sanitation department of Chew and Swallow had a rather unusual job. It had to remove the food that fell on the houses and the sidewalks and the lawns. The workers cleaned things up after every meal and fed all the dogs and cats. Then they emptied some of it into the surrounding ocean for the fish and turtles and whales to eat. The rest of the food was put back into the earth for the soil, so it would be richer for people's flower gardens. They're scraping it up on a big giant plate. Ha! Life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worse. Holy moly, what's going on? One day there was nothing but gorgonzola cheese all day long. The next day there was only broccoli, all overcooked. And the next day there were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. Another day there was a pea soup fog. No one could see where they were going. They could barely find the rest of the meal that got stuck in the pea soup fog. Okay, that's gross. Oh. The food was getting larger and larger, and so were the portions. The people were frightened. Violent storms blew up frequently. Awful things were happening. One Tuesday, there was a hurricane of bread and rolls all day long and into the night. There were soft rolls and hard rolls, and some with seeds and some without. There was white bread and rye and whole wheat toast. Most of it was larger than they had ever seen before. It was a terrible day. Everyone had to stay inside. Roofs were damaged and the sanitation department was beside itself. The mess took the workers 4 days to clean up. And the sea was full of floating rolls. Look at all those rolls. To help out, the people piled up as much bread as they could in their backyards. The birds picked at it a little bit, but it just stayed there and got staler and staler. Then there was a storm of pancakes one morning and a downpour of maple syrup that nearly flooded the town. A huge pancake covered the school. No one could get it off because of the weight, so they had to close the school. Look, just like us. We just don't have a giant pancake at our school. You need a syrup with them. Lunch one day brought 15-inch drifts of cream cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick, and the day ended with a stomachache. Then there was an awful salt and pepper wind, accompanied by an even worse tomato tornado. People were sneezing themselves silly and running to avoid the tomatoes. The town was a mess. There were seeds and pulp everywhere. Ugh, this is awful. The sanitation department gave up. The job was too big. Everyone feared for their lives. They couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses were badly damaged by giant meatballs. Stores were boarded up, and there was no more school for the kids. So a decision was made to abandon the town of Chew and Swallow. It was a matter of survival. Oh my goodness, look at all those terrible, humongous foods. Oh, there's a big pickle right there. The people glued together pieces of giant stale bread and sandwich style with peanut butter. They took only the absolute necessities with them and set sail on their rafts for a new land. Check out their boats. A peanut butter sandwich, and then they used a piece of pizza and cheese for the sails. Whew, it looks like it's just in time. Look what's coming. A big old storm. After being afloat for a week, they finally reached a small coastal town. The bread had held up surprisingly well enough for them to build temporary houses for themselves out of it. The children began school again, and the adults all trying to find new places for themselves in the land. The biggest change they had to make was getting used to buying their food at the supermarket. They found it odd that the food was kept on shelves and packaged in boxes and cans and bottles. Meat that had to be cooked was kept in large refrigerators. Nothing came down from the sky except rain and snow. The clouds above their heads were not made of fried eggs. No one ever got hit in the head with a hamburger again. And nobody dared to go back to Chew and Swallow to find out what had happened to it. They were too afraid. Henry and I were awake until the very end of Grandpa's story. I remember his goodnight kiss. They built their houses out of the bread. The next morning, we woke up to see snow falling outside of our window. We ran downstairs for breakfast and ate a little faster than usual so we could go outside with Grandpa. It's funny, But even as we were sliding down the hill, we thought we saw a giant pat of butter at the top, and we could almost smell mashed potatoes. The end. All right, guys, I hope you like that one.